what I'm going to spend time sharing with you and what we're going to be going through today is we're going to go through what we call the 10 human movement principles. And this is something that really starting to think about how could we break down simply and make sure that we're covering for general population clients that we work with. How can we make sure that we're building this person to be the most resilient possible? And this is something that I came up with, I don't know, maybe like 8 or 9 years ago. The first thing that we want to get really good at is breathing. Most people breathe incorrectly. It's not just about whether you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, like Nestor might say, right? Okay, it's the guy who wrote that book that got everybody up in arms about breathing, okay? It's about using your diaphragm and actually being able to use your diaphragm and breathe down low versus being an upper respiratory breather. There's a whole host of muscles that are connected to your neck, your face, your jaw, all of that can create all sorts of problems. And when we talk about creating stability for the spine and the pelvis, being able to utilize my diaphragm is going to allow me to not only control my nervous system, Dr. Ohm talked about that the other day, right? We've got 2 states in our nervous system, in our ANS. We're talking about sympathetic and parasympathetic. And when you are training, we are putting ourselves into that stress state. So in order for me to recover, I need to be able to down-regulate. For those of you that used to drive stick, right? You'd go from 5th gear, down to 1st or 2nd gear, right? Hit to the red light before you gear back up. I try to explain that to kids now, and they're like, what are you talking about, coach? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's so much fun, right? Breathing. Breathing is our ability to do that. Utilizing the diaphragm is going to help us regulate that entire system. So when I am lifting heavy, right? You talked about today, you went over and did your bike test, right? You did your VO2 test. What do you feel like when you get done with something like that? Right? Breathing is going to down-regulate that system so that you are ready for the next rep, for the next set as you are working out. Make sense? So, we're going to come in on the breathing part because you're warmed up a little bit, yeah? Take those hands. We're going to place them right around the trunk. Below the ribs, above the hips. And what I want you to do is relax the shoulders. Feel your shoulders slide down and back. And then we're going to take a breath in. And when you breathe in, I want your fingers and your thumbs to expand out. Okay? We're going to press out into our fingers. So here, out, in. One more. Good. Who wants to be my Vanna White? I need one. Come on over. So I want you to stand here and I want you to face that way. So when we are breathing, there's a couple things that we want to look for, okay? We want to make sure that we can see the body down low, expand out. That's the diaphragm pulling that air down and in, and it's pushing out. Make sense? When we inhale, what I don't want to see is shoulder shruggers. I don't want to see that, right? I don't want to see any of this up top. So watch her take 3 breaths. Go ahead and get your hands set. Good. Hands on the outside. There you go. Woohoo! There you go. Good. Okay, so take a breath. Go. Inhale. Good. Exhale. Minimal movement up top. Inhale. Down low. Exhale. Good. Breathe in. And exhale. So, couple things. You start to see her maybe lift a little bit as she's trying to take a deeper breath. Right? We're going to get the majority of our air in here, let's say 70%, and then the reserve is going to come up top. It's going to start to fill up that lobe in the lung, just a little bit higher. The last breath, that last little bit is okay. It's right away when I start breathing is where the problem is. Does that make sense? Good. Thank you so much. You can go back over there. So what I want you to do is I want you to go through again, and I just want you to take 3 breaths. But you've got to use that awareness of your own self. And guess what? There are mirrors right there. Hi, mirrors. You could turn around and look at yourself and watch yourself breathe and see where does the air go first. So when you're ready, take those 3 breaths. Good. Different. Second time. What did you become aware of? Shoulders? You felt it. What else? Anybody else? There's one specific one that I always hear people talk about, which is the depth of the breath. When we breathe up high, it feels very shallow. It stops right here. But when we take deep breaths, now all of a sudden that lung volume is almost doubled in capacity. Right? We got way more space to fill up. So that's an important piece. Good.